Welcome to the Shortwave Radio channel, and as we continue to explore the spectrum of shortwave and kind of give an idea of a few signals here and there on the megahertz range. So we talked about 2000, 3000 kilohertz. What about 3000 to 4000 kilohertz? What's in there? Well, first of all, the bottom part of 3000 starts with a aeronautical band. For example, 3016 in the East Coast is Gander, Newfoundland. So 3016 is going to be one of those frequencies that I can monitor, especially in the wintertime. We'll have more signals in the wintertime in that band usually. And that is, of course, not just here. There's other places. So at the bottom, like 3016 is Gander, but you will also have Shannon, like in Europe, Shannon, Ireland. 3016 is also New York. There's a few signals that can be heard from Santa Maria in the Azores, and Africa uses some of those frequencies for aeronautical. So the first, I'd say the first, 50 kilohertz, you'll have some aeronautical stuff in there to check out. Now, of course, this is a low frequency, which means it's mostly in the nighttime that you'll hear stuff. But you know what? Monitor and you'll be surprised. Another signal that I'm often, one part of the spectrum that I find interesting in here, in this part of the spectrum, is the 90-meter broadcast band. This is still active, and there's still some signals in there, all sorts of signals coming in. A couple of signals that we hear often in the broadcast band in North America is WWCR, for example, on, so here it is, 3215. So this is one that you'll sometimes hear. It's very noisy right now, but this is one of the frequencies. 3185 is also sometimes with some of the broadcast signals. So check it out. There's some stuff in there. There's also some tropical stations. It might not look like it, but there are some gems hidden in that range that are still active. So do check out that range. A couple of signals. One that I've had people hear sometimes here in North America, Radio Mososchaski. It is a Bolivian station that is in Spanish and Quechua language. So they operate up to 0204 UT, and they start again at 0855, and it's been heard in North America, so there are a few things like that. In Asia region, there's some Korean stations from North Korea, and there's Indonesia, 3325. So it's definitely worth checking out. There are some signals in there, and do tune around, and you never know what can pop up also. Sometimes stations reactivate and so on. One of the stations that you can be chasing wherever you are, it's of course the Canadian time signal station, CHU. So CHU Canada time signal on 3330 is one of those stations that is easy to hear in North America at nighttime. Here, I'm so close to Ottawa, I hear it almost 24 hours. And of course, I might hear it in Europe. Some people do hear it from time to time, so check it out. There's a lot of weird signals, like, the Russian channel markers across the band there and so on. So do check out these frequency ranges. It's kind of interesting what you can find. If you go to 3400 kilohertz roughly, you're going to be back in what is pretty much aeronautical mode. So you'll get in here some stations like 3413 Shannon Valmet, which is the aeronautical station. So 3413 upper sideband. That one is heard quite regularly here in the east coast of it's very weak in the noise. I'm very, very noisy right now here in tonight. I don't know what's running, but anyways, it's one of those things that happens, unfortunately. So 3413, of course, you have the different stations that give out the weather here in Canada. The Gander, Newfoundland, Canada Volmet station is also there at 3485. And you might hear some aeronautical from Russia, and if you're in Europe, on those frequency ranges. There's San Francisco, there's New York on 3455, which is one of the frequencies that there's quite often a lot of traffic for aeronautical purposes, so you might hear things happening there. Once you reach 3500 and go up to 4000 kilohertz, depending on where you live, there's different things in here. In North America, it is generally accepted to be a amateur radio band. So, with Morse code at the bottom, 3500 kilohertz. And of course, a lot of hams are using this frequency range for communications. So definitely something to tune around. So here. Somebody was calling CQ. So there are some hams. There's all sorts of signals there. But at the top part for you guys in Europe, there's also a broadcast band that is part of the range. So in Europe, many of the signals that you could hear could be broadcast band stations. It is used in Europe for broadcast. It sometimes can be heard in North America also, especially in the wintertime. But for us in North America, most of this is ham radio. There's, of course, the famous AMers on 3880, 3885.
89 years old, and he says he's in pretty good health, but he just can't get around like he used to. He doesn't drive anymore. And
so do check it out. 80-meter amateur radio band, which is more localized, but you have some DX. I've made some contacts with Europe on 80 meters, a few of them. I'd make more probably if it wasn't for the noise level that I have, but pretty interesting band to check out. And anything can pop up, anything can happen. And it's one of those ranges where there's mysterious stuff. I've heard mysterious Morse code stations appear on a random random letters and numbers being sent out and then disappear out in the thin air and never heard again. Most of what is utility, aeronautical, marine, and so on, is going to be tuned in upper sideband. The 80-meter amateur band is a lower sideband. This is something to note. The lower sideband is what is used in the
I'm puzzled. If you see gangbusters on AM, no problem.
So 80-meter band, lower sideband for the amateur band. And, of course, international broadcast stations like that are AM mode. So check it out. And if you don't have single sideband, remember, you can tune those AMers that often have and pack a good, strong signal, often with pretty good audio also.
okay, he's getting a little close. A lot older than I am, I know that.
So check it out, 3,000 to 4,000 kilohertz. Quite interesting, mostly in nighttime band, when the sun sets and all night. This is when you're going to hear signals most of the time. And you could be surprised at what you can hear. And, there's that small portion of the broadcast bands for Europe, mostly. If you enjoy my videos, my signals, if you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Thank you for watching.